Yo, what up, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy Hakim Green. Wake up in the morning, got the yearning for herb. Yes, yes, yes. It's November 22nd, Sunday, November 22nd, 9 a.m. This is Wake Up in the Morning with the Wake Up in the Morning with Hawk. When I say wake up in the morning, the yearning for herb part just kind of flows. Let me make sure I'm okay. Everything is moving right. That's right, all the right elements. Okay, we're live on Facebook. That's good money. That's good money. Let's go back over here to StreamYard. And let's see if we can watch from YouTube to make sure we crunch on YouTube. Yeah, it seems as if we're good on YouTube. Crunch on YouTube. Volume's correct. That's good money. Yeah, it seems as if we're good on YouTube. Crunch on YouTube. Volume. Turn that volume right there. Go back over to the StreamYard. Matter of fact, let's go to Facebook so we can see what's up with today's guest, Mr. Dhoruba bin Wahad. Yo, big bro, where you at? Yeah, so, we're just getting it together. Just reached out to today's guest, Mr. Dhoruba bin Wahad, former Black Panther, New York City Black Panther, co-founder of the Black Liberation Army. We had him on Matters and Mondays earlier this year, and he dropped some bombs on all of us, So, this is like the quote-unquote OG, it's the mentor, somebody I've been following since the late 80s, in reference to his, him being considered a political prisoner, being locked up for the falsely accused, falsely convicted of the attempted murder of a New York City Police Department officer. And then after some struggles, he was able to free himself after 19 and a half years. Oh, Dhoruba's calling. Hold on, let's see what he's talking about. Hold on. Yo, what up, man? So I sent the link to your Facebook Messenger. If you just scroll up, you'll see the link. You tap the link, it takes you right there.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, that's the OG right there. He's gonna be calling on in a second. So yeah, you know what? While we're doing that, I want to get this lined up. It's a song that I'm a part of, a recently recorded song called "We the People," featuring myself and ep1 from Dead Prez. The song is Aguilar's song, Adolf the Assassin, aka Aguilar. So yeah, it's his song off his new album, Dorona 2, which drops on Thursday, Thanksgiving. And Dhoruba's not in the building yet. I'm just waiting for him to log on. So yeah, I'm gonna line that up so we can play that when Dhoruba. Stretch it out like that. No, we want to do this first. We want to go here. Let's get rid of these tabs here. I'll bring these back up. So yeah, I'll wait for Dhoruba to hop in the building. For those who just joined us, this is the Madison TV show. Wake up in the morning with Hop episode or version. So yeah, we keeping it all Madism. You know, I got the Madism podcast. I have Madism Mondays. I have Madism TV. I got Madism, the Madism Cypher. We have Madism Who Wants to Smoke, the new album featuring KRS-One, General Steel, Sadat X, Carl Thomas, Tretch, Do It All, Keith Murray, Thurston Howell III, Lee Dem Zoes, the homie Architect, Drez for Black Sheep. I ain't bring no raps. And you know, it's hot. Production by Breakbeat Lou, Domingo, Will Tell, Dom Beats, Kenny Parker, Frenchie from Madball Productions. Who else we got? I think that's it. I'm missing somebody. You know. Oh, DJ Heron produced the single, I Believe, featuring Carl Thomas. I Believe, Put It in the Air. What up, Cliff? What's the word, bro? I see you. Fire Blazes in the house. I appreciate y'all checking in with me. You know, we're gonna get it started. I'm gonna throw this video up. Not a video, this song. And let this rock out. This is We the People by Aguilar featuring Hakim Green and M1 from Dead Prez. And yeah, I'm gonna put that up. Let me know what you think. All right. What up, Tayari? Aguilar. M1. Yo, I landed on my pants. I can smell the bullshit. Trump ain't trying to concede. Let's determine the future. Everyone is a victim, but yo, so many are losing. Republican and Democrats getting really confusion. It's an illusion. I can never depend on the system. People on power, so you're more dangerous in position. We Israelites, but we still worshiping Christ. Little kids and loved ones locked up by the ice. Corona's a fight. I hope you got God in your life. The right to bear arms when the enemy is in sight. Scared of my type, and they don't want us to unite. And when they see the love and unity, that's what they don't like. A good example of what you just trying to be like. Stay out the way when the police shine them lights. We the people, in order to form a more perfect, self-justice, ensure domestic justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, ensure the general welfare and secure the general welfare and secure for ourselves and our prosperity to ordain ourselves as the Constitution. What's that Constitution? United States of America. Political action committee since back in the 60s. Niggas been back in blickies and back in they black dickies. When we fast forward, we can't ignore this shit. It's deja vu. Is this a passport to bondage? A black to the future. Ice Cube's brilliance must be applauded by hip hop. Republican than Republican. It's all just a flip flop. Lil Wayne got a brain. He thinking, let's give them choices. This America, the land where they silence the strong voice. You rather Kanye West or be in a test dummy for this government? What they trying to bury, I'm gonna uncover it. Fuck that nanotechnology, vaccine rap, behavioral modification. This is robot nation.
Politicians do not take time out to organize the community. As a matter of fact, they appear to be afraid to organize the community. But, of course, reality and truth tells us that the only way you get power is when the people are in fact properly organized. That's our major challenge.
bibbidi bomb. It's how I hop through the city with my troops through the slums. Ducking cops, getting litty off the juice in my rum. Ready to pop any nigga with the tongue. We just the reflection of benign neglect. Hate that ain't produced, trying to find respect. Programmed by the TV algorithms and infomercials. Sticks to stone, break bones, names, mislead. Your mommy call me stupid, daddy call me never. My teacher call me slick, the hustlers call me clever. This is just perspective when the college is elective. A compromise from slavery to keep ownership protected. My people disrespected through the trials and tribulations. Staying medicated through the vials of medication. We can trace it back to Nixon, followed down through Clinton. Got my brother in East Jersey and my sister locked in Clinton. Prison industrial, now CBS is slinging grams. So my brothers from the 80s still sitting in the can. Running with them boys, running from the man. Gunning with them boys, but now running out of plans.
It's disorganized our people because we really have the power. Wrong. Since 1960, we still have no power. We have some visibility, some more tricks, but as a matter of fact, the situation is getting worse.
Let's run that back one more time while we wait for Dhoruba to get his thing together.
ep1. Yo, the fly landed on Mike Pence. I can smell the bullshit. Trump ain't trying to concede. Let's determine the future. Everyone is a victim, but yo, so many are losing. Republican and Democrat is getting really confusing. It's an illusion. I can never depend on the system. People want power, so you're more dangerous in position. We Israelites, but we still worshiping Christ. Little kids and loved ones locked up by the ice. Corona's a fight. I hope you got God in your life. The right to bear arms when the enemy is in sight. Scared of my type, and they don't want us to unite. And when they see the love and unity, that's what they don't like. A good example of what you just trying to be like. Stay out the way when the police is shining them lights. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union. Establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility. Ensure domestic tranquility. Provide for the common defense. Ensure the general welfare and security. For ourselves and our prosperity. To ordain ourselves this Constitution. That Constitution. United States of America. Political action committee since back in the 60s. Niggas been packing blickies and backing they black dickies. When we fast forward, we can't ignore the shit. It's deja vu. Is this a passport to bondage? A black to the future. Ice Cube's brilliance must be applauded by hip hop. Republican and then Republican. It's all just a flip flop. Lil Wayne got a brain. He thinking, let's give him choices. This America, the land where they silence the strong point. You rather Kanye West or be in a test dummy for this government? What they trying to bury, I'm gonna uncover it. Fuck that nanotechnology, vaccine rap, behavioral modification. This is Robot Nation.
Politicians do not take time out to organize the community. As a matter of fact, they appear to be afraid to organize the community. But, of course, reality and truth tells us that the only way you get power is when the people are in fact properly organized. That's our major challenge.
It's how I hop through the city with my troops through the slums. Ducking cops, getting litty off the juice in my rum. Ready to pop any nigga, get loose with the tongue. We just the reflection of benign neglect. The hate that hate produced, trying to find respect. Programmed by the TV algorithms and infomercials. Sticks and stone, break bones, the names mislead hurt you. Your mommy call me stupid, daddy call me never. My teacher call me slick, the hustlers call me clever. This is just perspective when the college is elective. A compromise from slavery to keep ownership protected. My people disrespected through the trials and tribulations. Staying medicated through the vials of medication. We can trace it back to Nixon, followed down through Clinton. Got my brother in East Jersey and my sister locked in Clinton. Prison industrial, now CBS is slinging grams. So my brothers from the 80s still sitting in the can. Running with them boys, running from the man. Gunning with them boys, but now running out of plans.
It's disorganized our people because we really have the power. Wrong. Since 1960, we still have no power. We have some visibility, some more tricks, but as a matter of fact, the situation is getting worse. And the responsibility for organizing our people rests on each and every one of our shoulders.
Feel closer than ever to the best music. Say yes to Galaxy.
Yeah, that was called "We the People" by Aguilar, Adolf the Assassin, featuring M1 and Hakim Green. And we got the OG, Dhoruba Ben Wahad, in the building. What up, D?
I don't know, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
You act like you can't hear me, man. You was digging me, man. What's
Oh,
up
my
with that,
bad, my
man?
bad. No, I had the other screen on.
I thought this was some
Uh,
technical difficulties and shit, man.
yeah, well, I was, playing some new music while you got your shit together, so we could bring you
Man,
in.
I've been together, man. I've been watching you ignore me, man, for the last 10 minutes.
You was watching, but you wasn't in the chat in the queue.
Cause you didn't have me up, man. You had me in the back room. It says I'm in the back room and you could see me. That's what it said. You had me on the wings in the back room,
Yeah,
brother.
yeah. Sorry, I had to,
Yeah,
had to
okay.
set up the conversation the right way. So I just did
I,
this new song. What you think
I'm
about it? Would you
I'm
like that?
used to,
You
I'm
fuck
used to
with
the
that?
back. I'm used to the back rooms, brother.
Yeah. So you fucking with that new song I put out?
Yeah, man. I can't listen to it. I gotta listen to it, straight away by myself.
Got you. Yeah, you got to
You know,
roll something up nice. Getting that,
yeah,
getting that
yeah,
shit in
man.
mind.
You know these. I don't know, man. These are really difficult times. I've been on a couple of meetings
Uh-huh.
on the, this remote meetings and stuff.
Hmm.
And it's I think I suggest people go back and read the Global Village by McLuhan
Hmm.
and understand that the medium is the message,
Hmm.
and that in the Global Village, perception then becomes reality, and that's not how humans operate or function or were wired to function.
Hmm.
And so, with no face-to-face relationships, no face-to-face organization, it what Kwame Ture was talking about the need for organization,
Hmm.
the essential nature of organization is blurred now with technology.
Hmm.
People you have Instagram militants, you have Twitter gangsters, you have you know, you have social media Pan African
Hmm.
analysts, and so you know um, ideas and concepts get kicked around by the masses, and most people, they're going with what they think they know or how they feel, and so what happens is you wind up with no organization. You have mobilization, but no organization.
Hmm.
And that's what happens now, and that's why the repression is going down against the activists now is so pronounced, is so devastating,
Hmm.
and has changed the whole um, um, possibilities that existed just 6 months ago. You know, for the worse. So we in the season of the switch.
Can, can,
That's what I call
so,
this, the season of the switch.
to the point that you just made, can you give some examples, like some, just so people could really took what you said from a theoretical position and know what's going on in real time?
Yeah, well, one thing that a lot of young folks I don't fully appreciate. I'm not saying that they don't realize it. I don't think they really appreciate its significance.
Hmm.
Is that the enemy, the institutions of white supremacy and white supremacist social, and the white supremacist social construct that is America, has institutional memory. It uses the same old playbook, and it
Hmm.
revises this institutional memory to fit the historical moment, the time, the circumstances.
Hmm.
We like to run around and say the history, is repeating itself. History never repeats itself, but it does rhyme,
Mm.
and because history rhymes, you could have circumstances that are similar, that have all the major features, but they're not exactly like they were initially, for a whole host of reasons. It's like John Coltrane playing a passage in After the Rain, and then he plays it one way, and then when you get him live at the studio, he plays it a completely different way. And you ask him, well, why don't you play it the way you did on the record? He can't play it that way because he only did that once.
Yeah.
You know, he's not feeling that way at that moment, at that time. He's playing what he feels. He's playing what's around him. It's the subjective factor. And institutions have this. And to break it down, to give you a simple example, if you go back to, I was talking to a brother Tayari, you know, our brother Tayari.
Big shout out to Tyree. He's actually in the chat right now, so he's following the conversation.
Yeah. I was talking to Tayari, and he was moaning about how he looked at the Kennedy and Nixon debate in 1960 or something, and how they were saying the exact same thing that Biden and them are saying now, and that's the same that we're saying today. You know, America has to reassert itself in the world, and we have to be strong. And this was right after Bay of Pigs, I imagine. You know, and this was at the height of the so-called Cold War. You know, and so you have to understand where the United States was as an empire at that particular point in history, and it shows a lot. That's when Patrice Lumumba, the same period of time that Patrice Lumumba was assassinated and murdered in the Congo. That's when Alcoa Aluminum and all of them began to um, look at the bauxite mines in the Volta region in Ghana and begin to scheme on how to appropriate the hydroelectric energy that Nkrumah had built to supply Ghana and the Ghanaians with development and power, how they were going to get that, and which ultimately led to the overthrow of Nkrumah. By in many respects by the same crew and family and institutions that are right now in power in Ghana. The Negroes have been flying over there to sit down and talk about investing with, and these are the same people that is using the PR firms that helped Trump win his election and help put the Republicans in power. He's using that same PR firm, you understand, to run for office in Ghana.
All right, let's freeze right there, because you just something that people have to understand: historical context and the through line between historical points in time that seem distant, but when you know who the players are, you can follow the through line. So when we talk about the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah, we talk about, you know, Ghanaian liberation from outside Western powers, being able to break that chain, and then, you know, forces being set upon Kwame Nkrumah from inside Ghana to tear him down. Those organizations and families and individuals, you know, them and their children are the ones who are in bed with the Trump organization. Like, it's, you see the through line. So there's no question as to why things are the way they are when you know.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you know, I just
absolutely, yeah, that's it succinctly. But you know, it's understanding that at the same time that all politics for us in the African diaspora is local, that all politics that are significant is local. At the same time, it has ramifications internationally, because U.S. foreign policy and U.S. policies abroad and U.S. interests abroad are fashioned by its domestic and cultural orientation and reality. The United States is an empire, and because
I'm sorry, somebody's telling me I got an echo. So I just want to make sure the sound is right. I apologize. Hold on 1 second. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Hold on, bear with me 1 second, Dhoruba. Just make sure we good here. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. There you go. All right, let me just make sure we good in the hood here. Fire Blaze, you said we good? You cleared through the phones? I'm good. All right, thank you. All right, we back, Dhoruba. I'm sorry.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
I was saying that the United States, since the end of the Second World War, has geopolitically and economically and in many other ways have become um, a modern empire, and they call it the century of the American century. This is what the right wing conservatives that have been trying to consolidate political power in this country
Mhm.
since the end of the Eisenhower era, when Eisenhower first outed the military industrial complex in the 1950s.
Wait. You
And
said Eisenhower first outed the military industrial complex in the 1950s. What do you mean by that? I'm sorry for my ignorance, but I don't understand that.
well, Dwight D. Eisenhower uh, was was a two-term president, I believe, in 1950s. I believe he left office in 1957. Eisenhower was a general in the United States military, in the United States Army.
Mhm.
In fact, he was the commander in chief of the Allied forces in Europe during World War II.
Mm.
He was the one that led the Normandy invasion, the
Mhm.
retaking of the fight against Nazi Germany. He
Mhm.
led the U.S. forces into Germany
Mhm.
and occupied Germany. He was a political general who was appointed by General George C. Marshall, and Marshall was, um, with all due recognition, Marshall was a brilliant political general. He
Mm.
was the head of the United States military under Roosevelt all
Mhm.
during the war, and
Mm.
it was the Marshall Plan
The Marshall Plan.
that it took his name, was to revive. The Marshall Plan was at the end of World War II.
Mhm.
The whole of Europe was devastated. The economies were completely shattered. Britain was bankrupt. France hadn't existed. It was occupied by the Nazis.
Mm.
Belgium was in ruins.
Mhm.
Germany was in ruins. The
Mhm.
whole of Europe was in ruins, and half of Europe was occupied by the Soviet armies
Mhm.
that had taken that had fought the Germans and basically won the war. Um, and so Europe was on its knees, but the United States and the Soviet Union were the last two big guys standing. The United States was the largest economy. In fact, at that time, 2/5 I mean, I'm sorry, 3/5 of the world's economy was controlled, was resided in the United States industrial output and economic profile. So the United States was the giant. It had the army, it had the military, it had the atomic bomb, and so Marshall, George Marshall, uh, devised a plan with big business, with corporate America and the banks to resuscitate, to revive the European economies, especially Britain and France and Germany, and and also Japan in the Far East. That's a whole nother story. That's the clash of two empires: the Japanese Empire and American colonialism in the Pacific. But having said all of that, the United States revitalized the European economies. And it used the Marshall Plan to do this, and this amounted to large sums of money being invested into Europe, into the creation of the European Union, in the creation of the economies, resuscitation of the French, British colonies. And the first thing that the British and the French and the Dutch did after their economies were revitalized was try to reassert their colonial control over Africa and Asia and the third world.
Mm.
That's the first thing they tried to do, which led to, of course, to the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the other conflicts in Africa, and all of that was the result of what happened in Africa with Nkrumah and Lumumba, and North Africa, and the liberation of Algeria.
Dhoruba,
And
not to cut your wisdom, but in,
so,
in terms of the Marshall Plan, I just want to later bring that back so we could just keep a point on the Marshall Plan and bringing a Marshall Plan idea for people of color here. But you keep going.
well, that it would be wrong to characterize it that way.
Okay.
because the Marshall Plan was the result of of the Second Imperialist War,
Okay.
the war between the imperialized industrial nations, and of course the colonies fought on the sides of their colonizer.
Mhm.
Indians, millions of Indians and Africans died in the Second World War, as did in the First World War.
Right. Well,
You know,
I hear.
so it would be inappropriate to apply the concept of a Marshall Plan to say Africans in the U.S. or the African colony, the domestic colony of Africans in the diaspora here in the U.S. or in Africa right now. It's a whole different framework. And the only reason I went into that, I didn't want to go into that long
Yeah,
history. I only went into that to show.
There's a specific point that I want to get to later. I didn't really want you to go into that either, but I didn't want to forget that point because what you just said, you just cleared up a whole bunch of stuff. But I want you to go further later. So keep going in the direction you were going, which is Europe out of World War II being rebuilt, and then what that meant in terms of the recolonization of international.
Yeah, well, I mean, this just takes a little understanding of how the Cold War was a creation of finance capital, of Western capitalism.
Yeah.
It was a creation of Western capitalism to curtail the rise to power of the industrial working class and the spread of socialism in the former colonies that were under European domination. So the Marshall Plan was designed to to create the type of ally power and institutions in the West that could go on to reassert themselves globally. And out of the Marshall Plan evolved the strong Germany, a resurgent Germany, France, Belgium, all of the European countries developed. They reasserted their colonial ties, if not in fact, but in terms of appropriating the wealth of Africa. They used different types of bootlickers and lackeys. Many of them are still in power today in order to take control of these resources in the Congo, in West Africa, in on the Gold Coast, in South Africa. We know the story of the ANC and the struggles of the ANC, and with apartheid. We know about the Mau Mau movement. All of these things occurred at the height of the Cold War. And the Cold War was a creation of the West, of the capitalist West, to thwart the development and spread of working class solidarity and socialism around the world. And and um, and it involved many bushfire wars, what they call bush wars, across the third world. Liberation movements came and rose up, and at the same time this was happening, we were beginning to struggle in the United States after coming home from World War II against institutional white supremacy, apartheid, segregation, and this is all happening at the same time here in the U.S. And so the allies at that time of the civil rights movement, of the black liberation movement, were the very people who were struggling against the reassertion of French and British colonialism. They were the movements of the MPLA, the movements of Frelimo in Mozambique, the liberation movements in Palestine, the liberation movements in North Africa, Kwame Nkrumah and Sekou Toure in West Africa, Jomo Kenyatta and the Mau Mau Revolution in East Africa. These were all these great men and these great movements were occurring at the same time. We were beginning to a fight against segregation, de jure segregation, and legal and de facto segregation in the North. And this was when Malcolm X began to rise to prominence and the idea of black nationalism had came into existence. So we have to understand that when Eisenhower, this president, who was the president from 1950
57, you said, right? Two-term president.
Yeah, I believe he left in 57, but he was a general. that had became president. He had became so famous. He had became so pivotal to the revitalization of Europe that he became the darling of the corporate and military elite, and he was elected president. Because he was a military man, he was at the height of many of the dramas that we now read in the history books. The assassination of Patrice Lumumba, the murder of Eduardo Mondlane by the Portuguese in Mozambique, and Amilcar Cabral's assassination. These were all operations that came out of the CIA run by the Dulles brothers. They used to be the Office of Strategic Services in World War II that Eisenhower, as commander in chief in Europe, used to head.
Let me to put a point in that. Tayari said Eisenhower was from 53 to 61. Thank you, Tayari. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so in 60, so it was 61.
And what you said about the Dulles boys?
The Dulles brothers was two with two pieces of shit who ran the Office of Strategic Services and developed it into the CIA, the modern CIA. Wow. And of course, the Office of Strategic Services, when the Cold War began, employed many ex-Nazi intelligence officers from the Abwehr, from the German Abwehr, from the Gestapo, the German Gestapo, and German intelligence. Many of them were folded into the U.S. as their assets in Western Europe and in Africa. And this is a fact. It's the same way the United States used many of the German rocket scientists to develop its rocket program and its nuclear program. And so the United States corporate capitalism had developed this symbiosis between the military, technology, and industry. And they began to and companies and corporations like Northrop, like Boeing, began to have an enormous amount of power because they were getting these huge contracts to develop the bombers and the ballistic missiles that were being accumulated in order to for this Cold War.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to understand when you say that these contracts, right? You're talking about private corporate interests getting basically no big government contracts in the hundreds of millions and billions of dollars of our money paying for these that connect.
Yeah, absolutely. The development of the U.S. ballistic missile program was tied to NASA. It was tied to the development of the nuclear program in the United States. I mean, and people of color suffered. The same people that are talking about immigrations and they don't want people to come from Latin America or immigrate or to the U.S. These were the same ones that wiped out the Bikini Atoll Islands in the Marshall Islands and conducted a nuclear experiment, dropped a bomb on these people's homeland every day for 10 years and killed and used these people as experiments and guinea pigs to see the effects of nuclear radiation on human beings. These were people of color. These were Melanesian people. These were Polynesian. These were Pacific people who were used as guinea pigs by the U.S. atomic weapons program. And so the corporations, Rand Corporation, all of these corporations began to accumulate an enormous amount of power with these secretive multi-billion-dollar contracts with the U.S. military. And so when Eisenhower left office, he warned the American people about the rising power of the military industrial complex. And he said that people had to beware of this rising power because it will control your democracy, it will control this country, and it will bring this country to ruin. And this was Eisenhower's major address. And this was coming from a military man who was the commander in chief of Allied forces in the Allied victory in the West.
Wow. So it's coming right from the horse's mouth.
Absolutely.
It's coming right from the source. He's telling you,
He's telling you that what Trump has done today and what Obama did and what Clinton had done. These were agents, these were administrators of this military industrial complex. And it's politics. It's control of the US intelligence agencies and its control of the US domestic law enforcement was key and essential to them consolidating their power. And they've been consolidating their power ever since the early 1960s. And it has come to fruition in terms of when we look at the state governments, the state legislatures around the country, we see how these right-wing racist politicians who have this enormous amount of support from from um, from the pharmaceutical and the military and the armaments industry, who get a lot of money to manipulate and suppress black votes, are in power, and where their money comes from. When we see these bootlickers like that Negro from South Carolina, that what's his name?
Clyburn.
Yeah, Clyburn, that bootlicker. When we see how he criticized uh, 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 um, um,
Hey,
activists for
yeah,
talking about defunding the police and talking about his slogans, that we can't use slogans that lost us the election. Well, what was "We shall overcome" but a slogan? What was "Black Power" but a slogan? Were
mm-hmm,
there slogans that shouldn't have been slung at
yeah,
that time?
you're right.
Slogans that shouldn't been slung,
Yeah, right.
and shouldn't and nobody, and I mean,
Uh,
so we don't hear the right wing talking about the slogans
no, we
of
don't.
white supremacy, and
Mm-mm.
the anti-Jewish sentiments of white supremacy, talking about Jews will not replace us. You don't see them
Right?
saying to
Yeah.
them, "Y'all have to calm down. You're going to lose us votes."
No, not at
You
all.
know,
In
we
fact,
need to really understand
that's
what's
what
taking
ignites
place
people.
here. And like I said,
Exactly. Uh-oh. Dhoruba. Dhoruba froze on us. Hold on, let me see if we can do something about this. Dhoruba. So I don't want to remove him yet. Let me see if he unfreezes. Yeah, I think the guy's gonna have to come back in. Let me see if he comes back in. So yeah, this is Madism TV. It's your boy Hakim Green, and I'm building with Dhoruba bin Wahad, former Black Panther, New York City chapter, the Black Panther Party, the original Black Panther Party, early '70s. Also co-founder of the Black Liberation Army. Um, he's going in, just establishing a historical context for where we find ourselves right now, and giving a complete understanding of the military-industrial complex and how it, combines with uh, corporate capital, and how that combined works against the benefit of the people. Just gives us an understanding. Let me see if I can get him back on here, though. Let me see what's up with Dhoruba bin Wahad, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, D, call back in. Hey, man, this shit just cut off. Call back in. Just hit the link. It'll bring you back in. I tried. It's not letting me back. All right, I'm gonna send you another link. Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen, but we're gonna make it rock. Yeah. Command V. Yeah, I got it. Yep, thank you. Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Hakim Green. Channel live and direct BDP all day, every day. All we do is spark madism. Wake up in the morning with Hakim Green. You know what that is. We got the ism, twisted, burning, and fruit salad, water, the brother Dhoruba Ben Wahad. Great conversation. All the elements for the right build. We got some great folks in the chat. Fireblaze, Kaba Nepti Ankh. Peace, peace, peace. Tayari, you already know. Jester Valentine, what's up, what's up, what's up? Or Valentine, I hope I said that right. My bad. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato. Eisenhower sign. CRB, still an Imperial Pig. Yeah. Adanya Salam, peace to you. Mike J, you already know what it is, bro. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on with Mr. Dhoruba. What's going on, bro? Earlier, I started the show with a new joint called We the People by Aguilar, featuring myself and M1 from Dead Prez, produced by Aguilar. We're in the process of shooting the video. Kind of as we speak. We shot some of it the other night, and we're going to finish up tomorrow. We're editing and stuff right now. So that's going to be at you real soon. You can actually go to YouTube right now. Just put in We the People by Aguilar, AGA. LLAH, and you know, shit, we might have been getting too deep for StreamYard. That's might have what happened. That could have been the issue. It might have got a little too hot and it froze deep. I don't know, but you know, he was, you know, on point. You know, just the historical context, understanding the players, the through line, as I like to call it. I like to call it the through line, private chat. Okay. I like to call it the through line. And when you understand the through line through history, you see where you stand. You see who's down with you, who you down with. You see who's connected to who. You know what I mean? You see how it's going down. And so many people in our generation just are missing the proper historical context. You know, somehow. So how come we can't get people to raise up anymore? Man, it's like, you know, I like to look at it like you do what you can in the space that you're at. You know, you do what you can in the space that you're at. You know, the biblical story of Noah, to me, is a great example of, you know, how I like to look at it anyways. You know, build an ark. You know, running around trying to get people to build an ark, that ain't gonna happen. You just gotta find the people who are gonna build it and build it. Matter of fact, if you can't find the people who are gonna build it, just build it. And then the people who are supposed to help you will come along for the ride. You know, the people who help you, they got a spot on the ark. Everybody ain't gonna make the ark. Most people gonna drown. You know, you do what you can. Once you know, and we say, you know, we got to build our own, yeah, so let's build our own. And it could be as much as, you know, your own website. It could be as much your own business. Get your own land, get your own, and then share it with the folks that are on your page. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much all you can do. That's my opinion anyway. You know, it's grassroots. It's from the bottom up. You know, it's touching down with the people where they at and building up. You know, and it's that in micro spaces. So, you know, everybody doesn't have to go. Well, everybody doesn't have to. We can do it in our space, but we all on the same page, so we work as a unit. And you know, build a better mousetrap. The world will lead the path to your door. When people see you got something popping, they gonna add on. They just gonna. when people see it happening, so Dhoruba's connection is kind of janky. He's saying, yeah, his connection went down. So how are you on Facebook? Yeah, so like, definitely build your own. D always putting on a historical whop. Yeah. 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 D always putting a historical whopping on you. You know that's right. When I want context, yo, D, make this make sense. Everybody can do something. Yes, everybody can do something if they want to. And that be the hard part. Getting people to want to. You see, you be having a 52 fake them out. You have to, you make it so you're like, oh shit, I'm doing something. Oh shit, I'm a part of something. Oh, I didn't even know it. You have to build your dream or build another's. It's like business ideally, and there are no blueprint to relationships though. Yeah, yeah. I have a thing like when we say we, exactly who we talking about. We, us, who we talking about. We say we, because everybody that we say we, they don't even think they're down with us. So how do you work with people who don't even see themselves a part of you, a part of the movement, a part of what's going on? Can you invite people into the video? Oh, anybody want to join? I don't know.
That's for you.
Oh,
Because you wanted.
Yeah, I don't know what Dhoruba's doing right now. I think he's off in the mix. We'll probably have to get him back at another time. But back to the the convo. It's like we can rise up. Oh, I'm messing up. Hold on, it's about to get hectic. We can rise up, but we have to do it and stop talking about it. And the one thing I appreciate about the Panthers and why Dhoruba is so important is because they took the initiative to go ahead out and do it. He said how white folks network like a motherfucker. Yeah, exactly, on the low, and they don't even. And white folks, they just doing it. They just do it. It's not even a thing. But there's a lot of reasons why. So we don't want to victim shame, victim blame. I ain't trying to do that. I understand it's a conditioning process that's gone along with our situation here. You know what I mean? So I don't want to discount that at all. We understand that, but in that. In that, we still gotta just make it. And all white people ain't down either. So it's mad white people they're not on the arc either. They're not down either. So we throw around those terms again: white, black, us, them, we. Like all right, who we talking about exactly? Because white folks work, network like a motherfucker, but there's a lot of poor white people who ain't in the loop. Just to volunteer. I'm white, I'm straight from Europe. Big shout out to you, no doubt, no doubt. As a matter of fact, big shout out to everybody that's on here checking in. I appreciate it. Madism is something that's new. I mean, it's old, but it's new. It's classic, not old. It's classic. Madism, everybody know what Madism is. All we do is spark Madism, channel live featuring KRS-One. I decided to brand it, make it a brand, represents everything in cannabis and hip hop culture. But the ism part is, racism, sexism, fascism, socialism, capitalism, lyricism, all the isms in our lives. And it gives us a chance to have these types of discussion with the big brother Dhoruba and Wahad, and how it all makes sense, and that's what we do over here on Madism TV. Also, Madism, the podcast, which is, the audio portion of this will be available for, podcast, audio download, the podcast. And hiding the Malcolm X's and MLK's. The always listen. Yeah, man. Hell yes, Freedom Mia. That's right. Listen. What's up, Denarius? Unique Hemp Phil. I like that last name. Oh, yeah, I like that last name. So yeah, we just had a dope conversation with Dhoruba and Wahad. I'm a tailor this off. It'll be up for viewing on YouTube. It's available on Facebook. It'll be up for viewing on YouTube, I guess, tomorrow. And you can check in with it, and I'll be putting up, pieces, clips of this conversation up on IG. It was very, very dope. We're gonna bring Dhoruba back, sometime very, very soon. I'll put up a flyer. We'll put up a flyer to let everybody know what we're doing. And keep in tune with Madism TV. We're gonna have a lot more in store for you. Check out the Roxanne Shante interview we did last Tuesday, and the Grand Mixer DXT interview we did to launch Madism TV. We're gonna move forward. This is November, which is Hip Hop History Month, so we'll be doing a bunch of programming around hip hop history. And as we move into the future, Madism. This is Wake Up in the Morning with Hawk, your boy Hakim Green. I'm out of here. Peace.